So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. In celebration of the Kentucky Archives Month, the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives invited different institutions to speak about their collections, their institution, and really anything they wanted to talk about on their institution to really highlight different archives and raise awareness about different archives, particularly for this month. Today, we have from Berea College, Tim Binkley, the head of special collections and archives, and different staff as well. And I will go ahead and let you all introduce yourselves because I'm sure I will not do as great a job, but please go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you, Catherine. It's a real privilege and honor for us to be presenting today, and we're excited to share with you some information about our program, about our staff, and on the focus that was given to us, the focus of education. Now, most archives are in the education business. We support the educational missions of the schools or the organizations that we are a part of. I think one of the unique things about Berea College is our use of student labor. And I have to say, when I was an undergraduate student, I never stepped inside an archive, even though I was a history major. When I went to grad school, then I got to go to an archive and actually work behind the scenes in an archive and play with the fun stuff. But here we have graduate or undergraduate students who can work with us for up to 4 years, learning the skills that most people don't learn till graduate school, and a lot of other skills along the way. But at the same time that they're serving, they're also learning and they're teaching. They're teaching us and they're teaching other archive users. And that is a very important part of who we are as part of the school and its educational mission. And so we wanted to highlight that today. We've got a special video for that. If you are not familiar with Berea College Special Collections and Archives, I invite you to go to our homepage, which you should be able to see there. And this is our gateway to discovery of about 40,000 published works in the special collections and 6,500 cubic feet of archival records. Most of our published works and our archival materials and our sound and audio recordings deal with the Berea College's history, the history of the Berea area, and the history and cultures of Southern Appalachia. Berea College was one of the first archives to seriously start collecting this work, and we're glad to continue to be a real go-to place for information about Appalachia. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues who are with me today. And first on my screen to my right is Harry. So Harry Rice, please introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everybody. Yes, I'm Harry Rice. I am the sound archivist. I've been here since 1996, and I come and go. I haven't been here the whole time. So anyway, my area is audio video. Much of it, almost all of it is non-commercial material that has accumulated from various sources in terms of oral history and traditional music. So that's what I'm up to in a nutshell.
Great. The next on our list is Sharon Mitchell.
Hi, I'm Sharon Mitchell, and I am the Research Services Specialist. And my job basically is to answer requests, research requests, and to supervise our student labor. I've been here about 10 years. I keep thinking it's longer or shorter than that, but I'm right at 10 years. So.
Great, thank you. And now Peter Morpheu.
Hi everyone. Well, unlike Ari and Sharon, I've been here, about 3 odd months. I've actually only recently arrived in America. So for me, being a processing archivist here at Berea Archive, it's like a great adventure. I'm learning a great deal about all the collections here. At the moment, I'm currently doing a record survey of the Appalachian science of the public interest collection. I'm learning about how they're been developing environmentally friendly technologies such as solar technologies and environmentally friendly living standards since the 1970s. I mean, we like to think that environmental science, environmental activism has been happening since the year 2000, since I suppose Al Gore lost the election. But no, they have been educating the Southern region about various bits about how to improve their lifestyle. So it's been an incredible experience for me. As I said, I've only been here 3 months and it's absolutely marvelous. Over to you, Tim.
Okay. One staff member who is not with us today is Lori Meyer Steele. She is currently on sabbatical and she's our collections archivist, the go-to person if you have questions about new additions to the college archives or records management program or finding those little bits of information in collections that she's processed in the past. We do miss Lori, but we're glad to have Peter here on a one-year sabbatical replacement position, and hopefully we'll see if we can make that more than 1 year, because we do have a backlog, just like every other archive that needs addressed, and Peter's a specialist in that area.
Maybe backlog should be our theme for next year. I'm sure people in archives will have a lot to say about that.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, I do just want to go over a few housekeeping things. While the video is going on, because the Berea College will be presenting a short video for us, please make sure you are muted. That way we don't get your area's background noise. This is being recorded and will be available on YouTube later. And if at any point you have any questions, please feel free to type them into chat, or if you would like to unmute and ask them, you're welcome to do that after the video when we will have a little bit of time for questions. If you have anything else or any other questions or comments, please feel free to ask them now or type them into chat, and we will certainly address them. Otherwise, I will again turn it over to you, Tim.
All right, just a quick word. We have a 20-minute video coming up produced in the last few weeks by a student worker here in Special Collections and Archives. Brandon Nichols has done a great job. Want you to know that the opening and closing music is a little louder than the rest of the information. So you may want to turn up your speakers a little bit after the opening music and then down back again at the closing music. I hope you'll enjoy this informative video that we have the privilege of premiering with you right now.
I'm a researcher.
I am a poet.
I am a student.
I am a teacher. I'm asking the hard questions.
And I'm looking for answers.
I'm just curious.
The clip you just viewed contains testimonials from Berea College Special Collections and Archives student workers and professional staff. After spending some time with us today, you will easily see how our students and staff learn and grow from each other, but also the ways in which a student's time spent working in the archives equips them with the tools and skills needed for the workday world and prosperous future. The Berea College archives include official records, publications, oral histories, papers, and photographs documenting the college's founding and history since 1855. Of particular importance are records related to the college's abolitionist founding, interracial history, and commitment to serving the Southern Appalachian region. Special Collections and Archives plays an important role in support of Berea College's mission and programs. The department's rare books, archives, manuscripts, sound, and visual media collections assist the college in providing an exceptionally strong liberal arts education for students from the Southern Appalachian region and beyond. It is the primary purpose of the Special Collections and Archives to collect, preserve, and organize printed, archival, manuscript, audio recordings, and video recordings related to Berea College, the Berea area, and the Southern Appalachian region.
As head of Special Collections and Archives, I work with the staff of the department to help researchers and to manage the collections, and also to coordinate the different projects that we have going here. Here at Special Collections and Archives, we're the memory keepers for Berea College and, in fact, for the entire Appalachian region. We go out of our way to preserve and collect and help people use historical resources that document the people and the organizations and the movements of this area throughout history.
Hi, everyone. I'm Harry Rice, the sound archivist in the Berea College Archives. The focus of what I do is seeing to preservation and access for the archive's several thousand non-commercial audio and video recordings. Berea's collection is small compared to larger institutions, but larger than those found in institutions similar to Berea. These recordings document Appalachian history and culture and the history of Berea College. They're especially strong in the areas of traditional music, folklore, radio programs, and oral history. Digitization is the primary means of preserving the collection's wide variety of aging, analog, and digital formats. Public access is provided mainly online through the use of our Preservica and Omeka-based resources.
I'm Sharon Mitchell, and I'm a research services specialist. I have been here at the archives about 10 years. My job is to interact with people on a regular basis, to connect them with history, their history, our history, the history of the community, the college, the region, in general, just connect them with people all around the world.
I like to think that my job is the best job in town, and I know it's the best one here at Hutchins Library. I get to work with a professional staff, the archivists here, who go above and beyond to collect and process and preserve the rare books, music, stories that are soon to be lost, the history of groups and families and organizations. We are in the business of keeping our histories, and these are the primary sources.
Hello there, I'm Peter. I'm a processing archivist here at Berea College Archive. So essentially what my job is to appraise the collections, the catalogue collections, and make them all accessible. So it's a standard archivist job, and basically it's one of the most enjoyable jobs one can have.
Special Collections and Archives student workers assist the Special Collections and Archives staff with registering patrons, researching patron reference questions, shelving special collections and archival materials, arranging and describing archival collections, minor book repair, and other duties as assigned. Workers are expected to be service-oriented, friendly, and able to follow detailed instructions.
My name is Heather Dent. I worked at Berea College Special Collections back when I was a student, all the way back in 2010, 2011. And working here really did help shape and mold me to the person that I am today. So when I worked here, I had the opportunity to work on the Bereapedia articles, and I think that was probably my favorite part of the job, because that meant that I got to dive into the archives and look at old photographs and biographies and just piece together information to write articles about people who worked here over 100 years ago, or events that happened over 100 years ago. It just really helped me learn how to really tell stories in a way that would be cohesive to other people and engage them. I remember my supervisor, her name was Jamie, she helped me to write without using passive verbs, and just really become a better writer. It helped me hone in on those writing skills, which I use to this day. I now work as the program associate at the Appalachian Center. I help organize events, promote events like the celebration of traditional music, dinner on the grounds. I do a lot of the marketing for that, so it's come really in handy with that. When I came into Berea College, I didn't really have any preconceived notions of where I wanted to work as far as the labor positions, but as I worked here, I think I just naturally gravitated to where the history is, because I feel like that's kind of the heart of this college, and what makes this college so unique is because it has such a rich history. So working here, I think it really helped me recognize that I really do love sharing people's stories with others. I think that it's just really important to me being able to preserve history and tell it, and a lot of that is thanks to my time working here.
I have to say that last year was a very quiet year with COVID and only 2 student workers who did a great job. This year we've got 8 student workers, and I can't begin to tell you how much work we're getting accomplished here, how much is being done, and it's amazing to me the energy that our student workers have brought into what is normally seen as a very quiet, back behind the scenes department. They are leading in many new projects, things that I went to graduate school to study and to learn how to do in the way of outreach. They walk in the door and within a day or two figure out this is a problem that needs addressed and come up with solutions on how to go about improving what we do here at Special Collections and Archives. And I'm just totally in amazement of the students for bringing that to us. And from them, I'm learning some new skills with computer science and with social media that will help me to do my job better after they have graduated. One of the archival skills I enjoy teaching students is how to make custom enclosures for books and pamphlets. Okay, and let's connect those dots. Oh, and you'll need a longer one.
Okay.
So you've got a big. Take these markings, and we need to move this back a little, and we're going to just score them. That.
What'd you call it? Scoring?
Scoring it with a bone folder. Bone folder is the archivist's best friend. It just applies pressure. It doesn't cut the cardboard.
So is it kind of like creasing it, I guess?
It's creasing it.
So you can fold it easy?
Yes. It folds easily and straight down. Right along where you
What did you call it?
A bone folder.
A bone folder.
Yes, they used to be made out of whalebone.
Oh, I was gonna say, I wonder how that name came about.
Mm-hmm.
Voila.
Your turn.
All right. I don't know what I expected it to feel like, but so am I trying to fold it, like crease it right on the line?
Right, yeah, right on the line is good, or just a little bit.
Like inwards of it?
Yeah, inside of it, yeah. Looks good.
Really? Because I can't even tell I did it, but
it would probably be good to go over it once or twice more.
Okay.
Really need to push down.
Yeah.
The other thing I like, and this is my own design for the boxes, but a lot of people do these and then they use Velcro to tie them up, and I hate that because the Velcro pulls off.
Yeah,
And
I've
it's
seen
lost.
some.
A lot of our old ones have
Mhm.
Velcro on them.
Right. So other people just tie boxes with string, and I don't like that either.
The string, yeah, because then it's like it makes it too much of a hassle to try to
Mhm.
get it out.
Right. So I invented a self-closing mechanism. I didn't invent it, I guess. People have known how to do this for centuries, but nobody taught me. I just had to come up with it.
Just take the credit for it.
Yeah. Two more. People like to talk about archives as a science. To me, it's more of a craft and an art than a science. You do need to measure, you do need to calculate, but it's as much about does this arrangement or the shelving feel right, you know, and is it useful? Does it make sense? And sometimes measuring too much or seeing it only as data, you lose sight of the bigger picture.
Beautiful.
Just the right size.
I do what I can, you know.
Berea students working in the archives get hands-on experience in cataloging, preserving, and digitizing these primary sources and making them accessible. For instance, one student learned how to clean radio program recording discs in preparation for them being digitized. Another conducted a series of oral history interviews for the archives that documented the work of several Berea student organizations. More broadly, student work has been especially effective in enhancing online searchability through metadata entry, making item-level links, and finding aid box lists. Students connect with the contents of the recordings in various ways. A member of the college's Folk and Roots Ensemble doing work with traditional music recordings came away with a broadened performing repertoire and a fuller understanding of the particular places of songs, both past and present, in the ongoing traditional and roots music scene. Another student became deeply interested in the content of the audio material he was preparing, to the extent that he took initiative in researching biographical information for the performers. He even contacted some who were up in years through phone interviews to better document their careers.
My name is Katie Gronstaff. I work in the Office of Alumni Communications and Philanthropy. My position is Donor Experiences Manager. So I work with donors that are interested in funding scholarships and programs at Berea College. I worked at the archives for all 4 years that I was here as a student. I came here in 2011 and I was under Sharon Mitchell, and Sharon got me interested in a lot more of the history and the preservation of these documents and these photos and things that we have down here. I didn't work on a ton of exhibits when I was here. Sharon really sparked my interest in history, and working here with her in the archives, she would pull me into the back, into the stacks when we would find something interesting, and we would sort of explore these little facets of Berea's history. And one of my all-time favorite parts of the archives is the student labor photos, because a lot of the departments that existed back when Berea started aren't around anymore, like the dairy and the candy kitchen and those sorts of things, and those pictures are just fascinating to me. So I was really excited to put together an exhibit on student labor and to showcase some of those things, like the fire department, different things like that. This was actually my first job out of high school, the only job I had ever worked, so I learned time management and managing multiple tasks and projects and working with coworkers for the first time ever. The skills that I learned here, time management is a huge one. My writing improved tremendously while I was here, and Now I am a writer over in the development office on campus, so I'm still telling Berea's story. I'm still getting the word out there, just in a different way.
And I get to work with an amazing bunch of students. On a regular basis, I work with from 2 to 10 students. They are from all around the world and from here at home. Their knowledge base is just phenomenal.
They continue to make me and the rest of our staff active learners. As they learn, they teach. So in the short time I've been with Special Collections, which is really not that short, it's been about 10 years now, I've been privileged to supervise students. Some of them are first generation graduates. They contact me on a fairly regular basis, asking for letters of recommendation for graduate school or letters of recommendation for jobs. I hear from them all the time, and one of the things they almost unfailingly relate to me is that they owe a lot of their success to their job here at Hutchins Library, at Special Collections and Archives. They've learned to research, and they've learned to do some critical thinking. They learn to evaluate and analyze and look beyond the obvious. I think that our most valuable assets are our students. They are the ones that make me want to get up in the morning and come to work and see what else we can discover.
What you're witnessing here today is really just a sample of the creativity that these kids can come up with. They are resourceful. They bring a fresh breath of air to the archives.
Yes, learning from Labour students. What have I learned from them? I learned not to underestimate these young minds. They're actually fantastic. They're able to grasp information, processes really quickly, and they've been able to enhance our collection descriptions. Their assistance, their work has enabled us to expand access to our collections on the digital realms, on social medias, in our catalogues. They are simply marvelous.
The Berea College Special Collections and Archives would like to thank the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives for sharing this video and for their contributions to libraries across the state of Kentucky. This is Caleb Regal, a senior at Berea College and social media and archivist assistant to the archives. Thank you for watching.
Wow. There we go. That was quite a testimonial. And I hope it confirms our feeling that the experience of being a student worker here is the experience of walking into an archives laboratory, a learning laboratory, and a place where many students serve and teach. Thank you, everyone who participated in the development of that video. And we'd like to hear from the rest of our watchers here. If you have any questions or comments, we'd be glad to hear those and to try to give some more explanation if explanations needed.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was excellent. That was an amazing video. We do have one comment in chat. I love seeing the student involvement and the direct hands-on experience. What a great learning opportunity. I used the college archives in undergrad for assignments, but we didn't have such a great program. Wonderful. I agree. So it looks like a lot of your students weren't necessarily in it for the archives. Like that's not something maybe they went on to as their next job. So is that typically the case? You just have a variety of students who will kind of use what they've learned there to apply to their next field, whatever that might be. Do a lot of your students return to work at Berea?
Okay, I'll start out, but there are probably others with more experience here, like Sharon. I see Sharon's, you know what? Sharon's hands up. We'll just go to Sharon.
Our students, as you know, here at Berea, everyone is required to work at least 10 hours a week. So, so it doesn't matter what major. So we have majors from just all over. This year, that includes nursing, business, the art or art history, studio art, history. So we have students from all over, and they go out and do their jobs when they hit the real world. Right now, we have some that are practicing attorneys. We have some that are IT professionals, some that are teaching, both at the high school level, and we actually have one or two that I know of that are teaching in higher ed. So the skills that they learn here are they take with them. And yes, we do have some that return to Berea, but I think probably all the people that are on here have encountered some of our students.
And perhaps we should add that Sharon Mitchell is a Berea College graduate who worked with the special collections when she was a student, and she came back to us. And we're so glad for that.
We also had at KDLA, you had Walter Bowman, who was a Berea grad.
Oh, yes, we did have Walter. He's moved on to military affairs, but I did not know he was a Berea graduate. That's amazing. We do have another question in chat. Are non-Berea college affiliates allowed to visit the special collections in person again? I know there were restrictions previously with COVID, and rightly so.
Absolutely, we are open to the public. However, with some restrictions yet, we do ask people to make an appointment, and you can do that right from our homepage, where there's a link to reserving a reading room table. And when you come to the library, you need to show proof or evidence of COVID-19 vaccination in order to be allowed in the building, and that's true for every building on campus. Once you're in the building, you do need to wear a mask, but we do have a lot of outside researchers using the collections right now. We'd be glad to welcome anyone who can get here and has an interest in our materials.
Fantastic. Excellent, thanks. So when it comes to particularly digitizing, but I guess also when you're researching, when you have the student workers doing research or working on processing, do you all have a priority of collections, or do the student workers kind of pick what they're interested in and work from there?
We have we never know from day to day exactly what kind of research questions we're having. So they work on, some of them work on research, but what we tried to do is to, especially after the first few weeks, is figure out where their skill, what interests them, and also their skills. For instance, what Brandon did, the voiceover that you heard from Caleb, he has a wonderful speaking voice, so we wanted to use that. So I think they're creating informational brochures. It's a little bit of everything.
And I had wondered, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Harry, might you want to add in about Olivia's project?
Oh yeah, we've had Olivia West, and follows the work of other students who have transcribed oral history recordings. And it's very easy, of course. I think folks have some idea about to record oral history interviews. It's more time consuming to get them transcribed. But anyway, we've had some very good experience over time with students, some even who had medical transcription backgrounds. That was really a plus. And so anyway, we benefit greatly from that kind of work.
Sure. And part of the message is that we have students come back usually for more than 1 year. And by the end of the first year, they may grab onto some ideas of what they want to do the next year.
Right.
In this case, Olivia specifically talked to Harry about, I'd like to learn how to do transcription of oral histories. And so we were so glad that somebody made that offer. And that's, I think, one of the good things of keeping students for several years. They find out what interests them or what skills they'd like to learn. And we do our best to support them in that.
Great. I had wondered because I think there was a part in the video where it was Harry who said that someone was digitizing something and it led them to do further research into that person's biography. And I know that, Peter, you are not a student worker, but I saw your presentation with Utah last week where you are doing art based on some of your findings. So I think it's very interesting that you have a lot to build on.
Well, actually, I mean, one of the things that really surprised me coming here was how fluid students are with creating content. Now, I don't know about you lot, but I mean, like, I remember the world before the internet where a VHS tape and cassette tape were modern technologies. But now, within like a week, they're able to put together an entire video on just one little device. It's incredible. So I'm starting to think to myself that actually a lot of our students who come here, they're so good, they're such good workers, they're really methodical. They actually probably could be challenged even more. Our social media, for instance, I find social media to be a bit boring myself. They've grown up in a world where they're used to it as well. Like, I asked a few of them about Facebook, etc., and like they were like, yeah, I know it, it's like a language, whatever. So I'm starting to wonder, perhaps they could actually create a website, and perhaps there's a different way of curating information to really start thinking about. I want their CV, their portfolio, when they go out and they've graduated for Berea, to showcase some evidential value beyond just say social media and content creation. I want to see an endpoint with a lot of it. I want to see legacy. And the students here, they're really up for the challenge. They are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And I really appreciate, just in general, that a lot of your students, they might not be in the archival field, but the positions you mentioned, like attorneys, even medical field, that does require the same kind of research foundation that's something that will be picked up working in the archives or doing research for patrons or what have you.
I've seen some evidence that Berea College had some library science classes in the past, but that's been many years. We don't have a library science program here, but in effect, a good number of students get an exposure to library science and archival science, or the craft of archiving, that they really carry with them. And it's always wonderful to hear that somebody goes into this kind of work, but we're just happy to supplement whatever career field they have or whatever avocational interests they have. If somebody comes away wanting to work with genealogy the rest of their lives, but not as a job, that's a good thing. That's all right. We've helped expose them to something exciting that they will do on the side.
I think a lot of people's first exposure to research of this nature is when they're doing their own genealogy much later in life. Usually that's when they start thinking, oh, I can go somewhere and look things up, and how do I get started with that? But it's nice to see that we're starting people, again, especially people who are not going to go into the field as their career. We're starting them in that area on how to do it and how to properly research and use their resources.
Our field always needs friends.
Yes.
We have several students now that are actually in library science, working on library science degrees, not necessarily from this department, but from the library in general. The research that these kids do down here, and pardon me for saying kids, they're a generation or two younger than I am. But they do the research for like all of the departments on campus, public relations, media services, the president's office, donor relations. One of the things you mentioned, genealogy, is that I don't know how they asked me, but I said, you can use my Ancestry account. So I have students that if they had some downtime, they are working on their family histories and going back home on holidays and saying, what about, so they're checking their families and whatever, but they're also doing research for all kinds of other things. So I say they're hooked on history.
I like that. I like that a lot. We have a comment in the chat: catching the archival management bug early is great. Definitely agree with that.
Great.
Are there any other questions or comments from our participants? Please feel free to type them into chat, or you're welcome to unmute and ask your questions. I know we had someone who just joined a few minutes ago, I think. So please feel free to ask questions if you feel like you missed anything. Otherwise, is there anything else from our panel of guests who would like to mention something that maybe wasn't in the video, or maybe I haven't asked that you wish I did ask? So what are your student workers kind of working on now? Do they have any specific projects, or is it just in general working with people working through COVID?
Sharon?
Okay, we have, let's see, I think Tim has someone working on a brochure, informational brochure for the department. We have someone working on an exhibit, a timeline for early Berea. So that's going out.
Oh, nice.
We have a student that's working with a potential archives donor who has come from out of state, and he's been actually hands-on working with him in identifying and making that material more usable. Let's see, who else do we have? And all the time they are teaching me how to use my iPad, iPhone, technology in general. So we have that. We have our social media people, Brandon, but he also has a project going where he's interviewing other students, and the students are doing a project where they are picking their favorite book and to introduce that to the, I said book or archival material, to introduce that to the campus. So I was trying to think, are there any things that I'm missing there?
Well, another project, a student came forward this year to say, why isn't student scholarship collected? And so we talked about why it isn't and why it could, or how it could, and what the complications are for that, getting students and professors to sign off. But we're developing a program to archive exceptional research papers produced by Berea College students. And it's not because I came up with the idea, it's because a student came up with the idea. And I think this year, part of the fun of this year has been, we have a labor meeting every week with the students. And at one of our first labor meetings, we got together, and instead of saying, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, I brought out a big piece of paper, and we asked the students, what would you like to do this year? What projects might you envision? And they came up with a huge list of things that would interest them and that they would have energy to do, because they're their ideas. They're not just assignments that we gave them. And so we try to balance assignments of things that have to be done, and then fostering the imagination and the skills to pursue their own projects under supervision of the staff.
One of the things that we hear all the time, it really warms my heart, is that they hate to go home. They come up with projects. They've already got a list of things for tomorrow that Tim doesn't even know about yet. But they've come up, and so they actually do the proposals for their projects. So incidentally, they also keep our stats. They keep me in line, and they keep the departmental stats and help with the general administration part of the, keeping the copiers filled, and just all kinds of little picky things that makes us, run smoothly or more smoothly.
It sounds like a really great program. I hope we can get something at KDLA similar to that with student workers or internships, hopefully one day. But all right, I don't see any other questions. So I think we're nearing the hour. We can go ahead and start wrapping up. As a reminder, this has been recorded. It will be on YouTube later. I'll also link to the website. That way, if anyone does have any questions or wants to follow up with any of our speakers, you'll have the contact information to absolutely do that. And thank you all once again, Berea College Special Collections and Archives staff. This was a really great presentation, really great video. Please thank the students who worked on it. They did such a good job. So yeah, and thank you for presenting such a wonderful program from the chat. So thank you, and a little clap reaction. Thank you all so much. And yeah, we will see you all later.